And we're back with Seth King of DailyAnarchist.com from the Free State, New Hampshire. And I just want to ask you, Seth, you're moved to the Free State now. You're surrounded by a lot of younger people. For those who don't understand anarchy that much yet, but they're starting to get into it, maybe you could tell people a little bit about how they can affect change in their own area, even if they don't live in New Hampshire, wherever they live. What can they do to make anarchy happen in their world?
Well, I take a slightly different view than most anarchists. One of the things I like to tell people is that we're already living in a state of anarchy. Humanity always has been, currently is, and always will be living in anarchy. And I say this because once you understand that government and the state is nothing more than a criminal organization, and you understand that humanity will probably never fully eradicate all criminal organizations, that we're basically, we're already living in anarchy. And I also back that up by saying, look, the Austrian economists, they constantly talk about how, no matter how much the state ignores economic reality is still always there. You can ignore it, but you cannot disobey it. And it's the same thing with the laws of nature, human nature. It's you can ignore it. You can try and pretend that, if you fight a war on drugs, you're going to eradicate drug use or whatever. But you cannot disobey the laws of nature. So what I tell people is, look, we're already living in anarchy. The only thing is that there happens to be very large criminal organizations that a lot of people believe in. And if somebody is interested in learning more, what they can do to help get society geared more towards reality, it's basically just study, understand economics, understand human nature, understand what justice is, understand the non-aggression principle, and then also live the non-aggression principle. If you live the non-aggression principle, then you're in accordance with truth. You're in accordance with how the world really is. You've taken your blinders off, and then you try and spread that message to other people and get them to recognize the world for what it really is, and hopefully they'll, like I said before, ideas have consequences, and once somebody understands the truth, they're much more likely to live in accordance with the truth. So
that's very powerful stuff, and it's interesting for me, especially down here. I live in Mexico, and so what is freedom, right? It's so hard to even quantify sometimes. Well, it shouldn't be that hard to quantify, but it's hard to compare different places. For example, you're in New Hampshire, I'm in southern Mexico at the moment. There's definitely a lot more freedom in general down here, but at the same time, this whole war on drugs thing, which actually has been started by the US government, the never-ending war on freedom, and it's been causing a lot of terrible things down here. Just yesterday in Monterrey, Mexico, a casino got lit on fire or something, just terrible things happening. This whole war on drugs has just been horrible. And so, it's for me, it's really a question of, how can we hasten getting rid of the state? If there's any way we can get rid of them faster, that would be better. But I think you might be a little bit like me. You might think that what we're doing and the state's going to collapse on its own, and we just have to let it collapse. Is that sort of the angle you're coming from?
Yeah, criminal organizations that have overextended themselves will eventually run into some serious hardship, like the United States federal government is now. One other thing I like to tell people is that, a criminal organization's size is totally dependent on resources and resistance. Why do the Bloods and Crips in, South Central LA, why do they not rule the world? Well, they don't have that many resources, and there's way too much resistance to that. So the only difference between the Bloods and the Crips and the United States federal government and the Chinese government is that they have a lot more resources and very little resistance. So as an anarchist, your goal is to make sure that they don't get any more of your resources, or a lot less than you used to give them, and at the same time you increase their resistance. And as each individual continues to reduce the resources that are given to the criminal organizations, and at the same time increase their resistance, they will shrink. There's no doubt about it. That's how it happens. So and that's the other thing is, having studied physics in my lifetime, one thing I learned is that force breeds resistance, and the more criminal organizations try to use force, the more resistance there will be. So it's all nature. It's all already planned out, and as far as I'm concerned, we've already won. We haven't got there yet, but we will.
Well, that's a great way to look at it, and yeah, I think so as well. And I think we will win in the end as well, and it's just a matter of time. And we just got to get through this period. It's just getting, as this state starts to collapse. They're just doing so many crazy things right now, trying to cling to their power. And you know, they do things like false flag attacks and start wars just to keep people's minds off things. It's just crazy. And you know, we're just gonna have to sit through and get through them, bombing all these different countries. The Nobel Peace Prize winner Barack Obama bombing different countries every couple of weeks. We really live a little bit in 1984 times right now, but I've really enjoyed having you on the program. You've had some great insights that I hadn't even thought about before, and so I hope you'll come back with us on Anarchast one day soon.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a great pleasure.
All right, well, Seth King, dailyanarchist.com, that's his website. He's got a great blog, and we hope he'll come back real soon and talk more about these sort of topics. And that's it all for today. Thank you for joining us. Peace, love, and anarchy.